What is going on with loan repayments in 2025? Let's watch a brief recap.
The Department of Education has announced that student loans in default will now be sent to debt collection. Here's what we know. Federal student loans have not been referred for collection since March 2020. At that time, President Donald Trump paused federal loan payments and interest accrual. The Biden administration extended those relief measures multiple times, with the final grace period ending in October 2024. This move by the Trump administration signals a shift in the federal government's approach to the student debt crisis and marks the end of temporary relief measures first introduced during the pandemic. During the Biden administration, the Education Department made several attempts to expand loan forgiveness, but those efforts were ultimately blocked in court. Approximately 5 million borrowers are currently in default on their student loans. Now, the Department of Education will coordinate with the Treasury Department's offset program, allowing the government to garnish federal and state payments, including tax refunds, federal salaries, and Social Security benefits, for borrowers with defaulted loans. In some cases, they may also withhold wages from non-federal employers after giving borrowers a 30-day notice. Going forward, borrowers failed to make payments for 9 consecutive months will be considered in default. Their loans will be reported to credit agencies and sent to collections. In addition to those in default, nearly 4 million borrowers are currently between 91 and 180 days behind on their payments. Officials urge defaulted borrowers to contact the department's default resolution group to explore payment plan options. For reference, the Education Department's Federal Student Aid Office has been affected by heavy layoffs.
Why should Americans who didn't go to college or went to college and responsibly paid back their loans pay for the student loans of other Americans? The Trump administration will never force taxpayers to pay student loan debts that don't belong to them.
First off, the government will 100% use your money to pay off debt that doesn't belong to you. Just not student loan debt. Your money will be used to bail out banks, corporations like Tesla. Your money will be given in contracts to Starlink and to Trump golf courses. God forbid any of it be spent on the actual American people. Now, I'm not one that says all student loan debt should be forgiven, but I do believe if you've paid more than you borrowed and you only still owe because of interest, that should be canceled. You've paid more than you borrowed. And all interest on student loans should be canceled. The government should not be predatory lending to its own people. So I'm all for people paying their loans back, but this insane interest needs to go away. And like I've said before, I don't think the government should be giving out loans to anyone. Not student loans, not PPP loans, no loans. One reason college tuition is fucking outrageous is because they know the government will give you the money for it. If the government stopped giving people all that money, tuition would go down.
Education department is warning that if we don't pay back our student loans, that our wages are going to start being garnished. I thought y'all were supposed to be somewhere not existing. When they dismantled the education department, they also dismantled my $56,000 in student loans that I owe, okay? And the thing is, I shouldn't even owe those loans. I should not even owe those loans. For half my college career, I was literally a homeless student. And their solution was, here are more predatory loans so you can get a degree and go work in public service. Oh my God, why do you want it to be free? You should just went into a trade. It wasn't offered to me. It was not offered to me. I would have loved to have gone into a trade and been an electrician and not had student loan debt, but I did what I needed to do. I was 17 years old. You gave a 17-year-old $30,000 in student loans. And now I'm supposed to pay it back? The education department was dismantled. So why are my student loans not dismantled? Talking about garnishing wages. 5 million people, y'all out y'all mind.
I'm sorry, but I don't think paying back your debts is morally superior. I literally don't care that you grinded for over a decade and stretched yourself so thin and worked 2 jobs and missed out on kids' birthdays and missed out on funerals and missed out on your life. What is dwindling time in your life of mobility and good health in order to pay back, of all people, the federal government. You will never catch me working that hard for the federal government, ever. Ever, ever, ever. There are so many people in my comments, wait, I'm confused. I thought we were paying our student loans back. It's a loan, not a gift. Yeah, I literally don't care. Congratulations. You did. I'm not. And many people can't. And also the people that have been paying them back and are in good standing and trying to be a good citizen, quote unquote, because that's how we're measured, is how well we can pay back our debts when our own government is not even paying back our debts and our own president owes the state of New York so much money that he literally can't even go there. And the fact that he owes other states so much money that he literally couldn't hold rallies. And that's why he had to use really obscure, weird third-party vendors in order to hold rallies in states. He's gone bankrupt 6 times. So yeah, your neighbor who's got 3 children and weighed down by student loans, who has to file for bankruptcy in order to continue to pay her student loans, is the one that's morally inferior. Same government that sends $8.8 billion at the drop of a hat across seas to support an extinction of an entire people. Same government who manipulates and uses our stock market to their own advantage and insider trades every day. Congratulations. You literally are living and dying to pay back the federal government, and it's never going to be me. The bootlicking is insane. It's a really, really weird hill to die on when you can't even afford eggs. That goes for all debts. That goes for houses. That goes for cars. We're weighed down by cars and car loans with high interest rates because we don't have public transport that's affordable and or accessible. Weighed down by mortgages. Let's not even talk about that. None of us are ever going to own homes ever again. Allowing predatorial practices like LLCs buying out houses, doing absolutely nothing about it, if anything, perpetuating the behavior. The federal government does not care about you. They're making billions of dollars off of your back. These debts are not ours. Paying back our student loans will not fix our debt deficit. Just run the numbers. The fact that they are bleeding out money in places like the DOD. It is not on me to bail out the government. It is not on the American people. They have just propagandized it that way. Until we see that, until we see our government as inherently evil and that they are all working towards the same goal, we will never have class solidarity and we will never, ever get ourselves out of this situation. We need some Eric Mays energy up in this.
The USA is the only country that will punish you for trying to go and be educated and get a better career. No progressive country, no first world country other than America punishes the people by not only making schooling and education so inaccessible and so expensive, but allowing banks and private loans to basically put you in a position where you're paying off insane interest rates for the rest of your life. This is because the American system prefers people that don't want to get an education and are left with no choice but to take the worst jobs and to join the military. You have to put yourself in a situation that is so dangerous, aka being in debt, getting a low credit score, whatever else, in order to supposedly advance yourself. And now we're at a point where that doesn't even matter anymore because getting a degree nowadays means nothing. Education is not valued. Moving forward, science progression is not valued. The government doesn't fund it. And then they're mad at places like China who've spent the past 20 years funding research, funding progression, funding people to actually go through and create cures and progress and technology or anything else like that. And all these countries, by the way, have free and accessible education.
What happens to our healthcare system after this student loan thing kicks in? Truly. Because I can name on one hand the amount of nurses I know that have never taken out student loans. I know older nurses that I have worked with who have paid them off, and a lot of the times the older nurses are the ones who took the 2-year route and then eventually got their BSN. But they could start out as 2 years. I haven't worked with an associate's nurse. I'm a hematology, oncology, bone marrow transplant, cross-trained CAR-T, you name it, oncology, chemotherapy, I've done it. In order to work at the hospitals I work at, you have to have a BSN. And honestly, I became a nurse in 2020. The AA degree that you can get in nursing, it's obsolete. It's obsolete. And I went straight for my BSN. And I was told by all of my conservative family members over and over and over again that I needed a 4-year degree. And now I'm a dumb going to college. Which is like a crazy narrative. That's a crazy narrative switch. Anyway, what happens to our hospitals after this? The doctors that I have worked alongside with have over $500,000 worth of student loans. I know nurse practitioners with $250,000 because that's what it costs to get an advanced degree. Where'd you go? School. College. What happens when we stop getting medicine from China in particular, but other countries that make our pharmaceuticals stop sending us medicine? What happens when Medicare and Medicaid get so crushed that we literally can't take those patients anymore? And then your healthcare workers are going bankrupt. What happens to our hospital systems then? Is no one paying attention to that? Healthcare workers have some of the highest student loans, and they're not going to be able to pay them back with their wages, because that's another thing. We're underpaid. Resident doctors start out making $60,000 a year. Nurses have salaries that are still, I was offered last year a position for $32 an hour as a highly accredited, highly specialized nurse. Those wages could have not met what my student loan burden would be after this kicks in. I mean, what are we doing? We're going to literally crash our healthcare system through doing this. Like, you would think it'd be something else, but no. It's not pulling NIH research. It's not pulling the medicine. It's not ruining Medicare, Medicaid. No. It's going to be the fact that your healthcare workers are going to go bankrupt and have to find elsewhere to work because they're not going to be able to make ends meet. I mean, come on, people.
I need someone to tell me more about this income-driven repayment plan being suspended on May 5th. Because whoever is making these decisions clearly does not care about American people or citizens at all. I'm not saying that we shouldn't have to repay our loans as students who took out the loans. Yes, we took out the loans. We should repay them monetarily, by service, some way. What people are complaining about is the inequity in banks being bailed out, but not citizens. The inequity of the fact that, how about I overpaid my loans and I'm still waiting for a refund that they gave me documentation that they owe me of 3 years later. The inequity of people trying to pay off their loans and trying to set up a plan, but not being able to get through with a phone call or an email indefinitely. The inequity of only taking out $20,000 in loans, but actually owing $60,000. So if people on an income-driven repayment plan, which is supposed to help alleviate the cost so that you can actually still live, buy groceries, pay your rent, but people are going into default because even that's too much in this economy. And now you're taking that away, which increases the price owed from like $200 a month to some people $1,000 or $2,000 a month. $2,000 a month is a paycheck. It is an entire paycheck. For me, I know that it's more than a paycheck for a lot of people. The government doing this, whether it's a manufactured crisis or not, is literally saying a big F you to over 5 million Americans. We want you homeless and dependent on us. Honestly, the next step is probably debtor's prison. Can't pay your school loans? Go to jail. Shocker, with prison being a money-making system, who's getting rich off that? They gotta fill the beds somehow.
I saw that the Trump administration was gonna start to try to garnish people's wages if they don't pay their student loans. And I just want to remind everybody that our 34-time felon of a president also has a judgment for $500 million that he hasn't paid. Now, that judgment is not for him attending a college, believe it or not. What it is for sexual assault. He assaulted somebody and is liable for $500 million, which he has not paid. So before you get your grubby hands on our money, how about you pay for putting your grubby little hands on somebody else? How about we do that little thing?
I'm going to weigh in on the student loan debate because I hate myself and I just want to see you guys all pop off in the comments and piss you off. But basically, here is my thing. I think I'm qualified to talk about this because I paid off $189,000 of student loans. And the only reason I was able to do so is because the federal government stopped charging interest during COVID. I think there's two camps that if you really take your bias out of it, you could actually totally understand both camps. Camp one is like, hey, all these people, I don't want to take on their financial burden. They've got all these student loans. That's not my situation. Or I already paid mine off. I don't think we should bail people out that have student loans. Camp two is I was sold a bill of goods where it made it seem like as long as I got a degree in higher education, then the money that I made with my career will be able to pay them back. That does not seem to be the case. I'm still in financial straits from COVID. I think the federal government should forgive my loans. Those are kind of two of the polls, right? I'm going to introduce the third poll, which is I think that the practice of the federal government charging interest on student loans is incredibly predatory. And let me tell you why. I graduated from business school. So I graduated from undergrad with no loans because my undergraduate institution had a no loan financial aid policy. And my parents were able to put a little bit of money towards my experience. So I graduated with no debt. Then I went to switch careers and I went and got my MBA from a very prestigious institution. And I took out an absolute crap ton of student loans. I basically paid for the entire thing with loans because I was pretty confident that coming out of an MBA, I would be able to actually make that money and have more earning potential, which ended up being true. But 2014 to 2020, I was getting charged 7% interest from the federal government, which meant that even though I was always, every month, putting more than the minimum, I got a bonus, I would put it at my student loans, I would just chuck as much extra money as I had at student loans, I still was barely making a dent because of the interest. Then, the only reason I was able to pay them off in 8 years, so I guess that would put me at 2022, is because during COVID, they put everybody on forbearance with federal loans and 0% interest. And so then when the money I was throwing at the loans every month, I would just plus it up and up. That actually went directly to the principal and it finally went down. So the first 6 years, it was almost flat. And then the last 3 years, it went like this until I paid it off. The federal government should not be trying to make money on this. They should say, okay, 25-year-old Stephanie, you're going to go better yourself. You're going to get your MBA. That's so great. We'll loan you this $189,000 and then you just agree to pay it back. Oh, in conclusion, I am not in the camp that I think that all student debt should be wiped away. I mean, I think there are exceptions. Like, for example, if you've been in public service, you're a teacher, fully support that. We all know, teachers are expected to get their master's degrees, but are making $50,000 a year. Like, to me, I'm like, if you gave 10 hard years in public service, like, thank you so much. I would wipe away that debt. But I think the point is, if you remove the predatory interest rates from student loans, I would just love someone to do the math, model it out for me, right? Because all of a sudden, instead of paying for 25 years for your undergraduate, you pay it off in 10, but you have more ownership of the debt. And then as soon as you're done paying it off, like, all that money is going back into the economy. So you'll just never convince me that education isn't worthwhile to invest in. Like, I am not of the camp ever that people are like, well, people should just not go to college. That's not what it is. We need an educated country. I just think that we shouldn't be covering the operating costs of the federal government with people that took out loans when they were 18 years old.
May 5th, Trump is going to start going after everyone who has any type of federal student loan. And I honestly want some input on this. How are people feeling? He's going to start garnishing your wages. If you haven't paid in the last 5 years, there's also 5 million people that have an open federal student loan. So to the 5 million of you, what are you guys going to do when he starts coming for your paychecks? How are you guys going to survive? Because this economy is already crazy, and now he's going to start taking money out of 5 million people's paychecks.
Why the we pay back our student loans when they constantly bail out the billionaires, Wall Street, and the banks? This system is a trap and a scam to keep us indentured while the rich get richer. At 18, we are shoved into predatory loan practices for college degrees that they said would help us achieve the American dream, either go to college or flip burgers, and they said it would be an investment. Well, obviously, they lied. PPP loans forgiven, banks bailed out, corporations given tax breaks. But us, we get ruined credit, wage garnishment, and also interest rates so high that we end up paying more than double what we borrowed. Well, why don't you work? Everyone works to pay off their student loans. Guess what, boomers? College now costs 6 figures. And trade school don't even give us that bull. It wasn't even given to us as an option, or it was presented as a not good option. This cruel system only pushed college as a way to the American dream. They didn't teach us financial literacy, and you know why. They just told us to sign our lives away. And now they're shocked that we're in debt, we can't afford a house, we can't afford children, and with the rising cost of living, we can't afford food. Come on.
Y'all, they about to garnish our wages. They really know how to just ruin your day. The U.S. government hates everybody here. Y'all, As of May 5th, they're taking 15% of your wages towards student loans. Y'all, I've been ignoring student loans since I've been in school. If y'all know how much I owe in student loan, y'all would think I went to school to be a lawyer. And it's a degree that wasn't even providing me a decent lifestyle. I was just living off vibes. So you mean to tell me I went to school and y'all lied to me? Y'all wanted me to go out there and do triple the work to get a degree. Y'all, I owe so much money. I'm in Texas, so we don't have state tax. 15%. Oh, you might as well go ahead and add 5 more. Add 10. Because that's the state tax. I cannot believe this. I just had to pull over, y'all. My head started throbbing. I'm about to get a headache. They're doing this in a couple of weeks, y'all. I got to go do deferment. I got to go do something. Y'all, we can't get away from this. People are even already saying that their credit score has dropped from a 700 something to a 500 something. Oh my gosh, my credit score. 15%, whether you have it or not, as of May 5th. So long as you have money in your bank account, they are taking it. In fact, financial aid just called me the other day and I hung up on them. Not in the mood, don't have it. I'm living off life. I'm vibing. This man really said, you know what? Let's make the rich richer. Let's make the others poor.
I'm going to keep posting about this all day because this is... I went and logged into my federal loan account and this is what I found. I graduated in 2011 with $46,000 in student loan debt. My loan debt is now almost $90,000. In that time, I've been a social worker that has made income-based repayments on my loan for years, and that has almost doubled. You want to know why people are pissed off about their student loans? It's not because we can't get anyone else to pay them for us. It is because you have set it up where we can never pay them off ourselves. And then you sit here and tell us into our faces that we are lazy, this is somehow our fault, while cheering on banks and auto industries and Elon getting subsidies of millions of dollars a day. Anyone who still doesn't see that this is rigged against us can get...
But not everyone thinks there should be loan forgiveness. There are many people who believe that it is completely fair for the government to take people's money to pay for their loans. Let's hear from their perspective.
Y'all, they about to garnish our wages. So you mean to tell me I went to school and y'all lied to me?
Starting in May, for the first time since 2020, they're going to start garnishing people's wages who haven't been paying back their student loans. And all over the internet, you can find people reacting with anything but personal accountability.
Generations of Americans have been told that if they went to college and they did the right thing, took out these loans, that it would be worth it.
Nobody has been saying you could get any degree you want for any amount of money and it would pay off. If you got a low value degree or you paid too much for your degree, that is your financial mistake to pay for.
Because whoever is making these decisions clearly does not care about American people or citizens at all.
Notice how all these people are pointing fingers. Oh, everybody told me that it would be worth it. Oh, everybody lied to me. Oh, whoever's making these decisions doesn't care about the American people. You have had 5 years to get your finances in order. Wages have not been garnished to pay for these loans for 5 years, and you are still pointing fingers at everybody except for yourself.
There's no way that you're upset that you have to pay a loan back that you signed up for. Nobody held your hand and forced you to sign on the dotted line after you agreed to the terms and conditions. You're mad because you believed the liars from the last administration that we're going to forgive you of those loans. That's why you're mad. They promise. We're going to get rid of them. We're going to forgive. You're the one who signed up for them. You went to the bank or the institution or whatever and said, I need this loan. I'm going to sign my life away for it. You probably didn't read the fine print. And you've had, like, it was frozen in 2020. You've had 5 years to think about this. Don't give me the, we only have 2 weeks to get our life together. You've had 5 years. If you make poor decisions like that, you might as well just sign up for a little OF and start selling the photos, because that's real life. Be an adult. Pull your little panties up and get to work.
You may not agree with me on this one, but I'm going to say how I feel. I don't think taxpayers should have to eat the cost for student loan debt. I don't. I went to college. I have a bachelor's degree. I have a master's degree. I took out loans. I paid my loans back. That is what one does when they are fiscally responsible. We don't just keep throwing money at a situation without addressing the problem first. If people are taking large amounts of money for student loans without having any way to pay them back, that is a problem. I understand that college is expensive. I think it's totally ridiculously expensive. But that doesn't mean that as a country, as taxpayers, we should just pay off your student loans. Agree? Disagree? Let me know. I'm really intrigued to know what other people think on this one because I don't want to pay off student loan debt for other people. I paid off my own. I feel like you should pay off your own too.
Over the past 5 years, starting in 2020, which was the pandemic, like, what? People were not able to work. Why?
It's 2025. COVID and the stimulus checks were in 2020 and the early part of 2021. So best case scenario, that was 4 years ago. You get a year, maybe a year and a half of grace during that period. To just assume that people weren't able to work for the past 5 years is such an insane take. People have been working. If the human population as a whole was not able to hold a job or to find a job over the past 5 years, people would be homeless. Like the majority of people would be homeless. You wouldn't be sitting there on your cell phone. You wouldn't have a bed. You wouldn't have walls. You wouldn't have a roof. People were working. They have jobs. They might not have the jobs they want to have. Starbucks was hiring. Walmart was hiring. Target was hiring. You could clean cars for a living if you wanted to. You could, I don't know, like fucking OF is a thing. You could have babysat. You could have gone and worked at a restaurant. But people didn't want to do those jobs. So your claim now is that they couldn't find jobs. It's just the constant victim mentality for me, y'all. Because any person who had a half a brain cell knew that you should be making at least a little bit of payment towards your student loans over the past 5 years. Just put something towards it and you would have made a huge dent in your principal. I mean, oh my God. I know the financial education is significantly lacking in America, but to just assume that people can't pay anything, I see people getting their hair done all the time, their nails done all the time, their lashes done all the time. I see bitches out here like buying new clothes all the time, buying new makeup all the time. So y'all can do all of that, but you can't put $20, $50, $100 towards your fucking student loans every month over the past 5 years. Bro. And please don't get me wrong. Do I understand that the college is a complete scam for the most part? Abso-fucking-lutely. I am 34 and I'm still paying off my student loans. And I think it's awful what they're doing with the interest rates and all that regarding student loans. Because when you're a kid, you genuinely don't understand how that affects you over time and how much that builds up. But at the end of the day, you took out a loan. It's your responsibility to pay it back. Because you took that, signed your name on it, made the promise that you were going to pay back that money, so you have to. If you buy a house, you need to pay your mortgage. You don't pay your mortgage, guess what happens? They garner your house. You don't live there anymore. You get pulled out from it. If you buy a car, guess what happens if you don't pay on your car loan? Your car gets garnished, or your wages get garnished. Your car gets pulled from you. It gets put in the impound lot. Same thing happens if you don't pay your credit card loans. Okay? Would you loan money to a friend and then expect them never to pay it back? No, because it's not called a loan. That would then just be considered a gift. The government didn't gift you money. This isn't a non-payback option. You agreed to pay back the money, so pay it back. Stop expecting the taxpayers to pay that money back. I'm still paying on my own student loans. I don't want to have to pay for yours.
It's easy to say that everyday people should just look for the money and pay it back. But do we have the same energy for the extremely wealthy who are always being bailed out by the government?
You that keep saying, why should my tax dollars pay for other people's student loans? One, go for yourself. If your tax dollars did pay for student loans, it's because you're investing in society as a whole. A rising tide lifts all boats. The smarter that people are, the better off all of us are. But second, your tax dollars aren't paying for student loans. Our country makes billions of dollars from the interest of these student loans. Our country profits from student loans. So your tax dollars aren't paying for people's student loan interest forgiveness. If anything, sorry, but the country is not making a profit off the backs of people that needed to take out student loans to better themselves in life. I'm so sick of Republican viewpoint of, I don't want my tax dollars to pay for blah, blah, blah. What do you want tax dollars to pay for? You live in a society that offers you services. The government is not a business, it's a service. You literally take advantage of things all day that tax dollars pay for. All day. And if you didn't have these services that you pay taxes to pay for, then it would be private companies offering all of these services and you'd be paying a ton more money.
While Caroline Levitt was on that stage telling everybody that if they didn't pay their student loan debt back, that they were going to garnish their wages and take their tax return. Meanwhile, looks like Caroline owes about $300,000. Caroline Levitt owes $300,000 in campaign funds that she should have never took in the first place. Matter of fact, it's looking like Levitt owes more than $325,000 in unpaid debts from her 2022 congressional campaign in New Hampshire. Now, here's where the stuff gets a little tricky, because the reason why she owes that money is because she's supposed to be giving refunds for people who over-contributed above the legal limit. It's quite interesting that Caroline can get up there and tell you that you need to pay your debts off, yet she hasn't paid off her own. I guess it's like daddy like daughter, because she's acting just like the very person she represents, racking up debt and never paying it back. Sounds pretty familiar for this administration, doesn't it?
If you are not part of the 1%, you might have no idea how the wealthy are able to avoid paying what they owe and how they are able to get more expensive loans. I found this great video which explains it simply. Let's watch.
I don't actually understand how billionaires avoid paying taxes. Loans. You keep saying that, but how do you pay the loans back? I don't. What do you do when you run out of money? I get another loan. I don't get it! I think that most people understand at this point that I don't really make a big salary. I own parts of companies. And banks are more than happy to use that as collateral to lend me real money. What do you use for the down payment? Oh, gross. No, I don't do that. You see, poor people well, what's your net worth? Oh, I don't, way less than $1 million. Oh, okay, so will you borrow money that you don't have? I have the money. It's just locked up in equity. I don't do down payments. And as long as the loan is still earning interest, the bank doesn't really need their money back. But if you never actually pay them, isn't it just pretend? Oh, my sweet, sweet child. Fractional reserve banking would... How do banks make money? By lending it out. Why call in my loan just to lend it back out to risky poor people? No offense. So you can just borrow billions until you're dead, as long as my net worth keeps going up. What if it drops and you don't have more collateral to give to the bank? I would probably create a shell company to bail me out. That seems complicated. We can talk about that another time. If I can't get creative, which is extremely rare, hopefully there's a favorable tax code. Otherwise, I might let the bank seize my assets that I used as collateral. Doesn't that look bad? Sure, but you don't pay capital gains tax if you never realize the gain. But that's a last resort. Otherwise, you just avoid taxes until you die. And then the estate handles it? Oh, yeah, that's actually the best part. When I die, my assets get reevaluated on a step-up cost basis. Why would I possibly know what that means? Right, yeah, you've probably never known anyone that's died with money. Basically, what I paid for the assets gets reset to what they're worth when I died. So, no capital gains tax. Wow. Does the method in which you die change anything? Oh, why would it? I'm just asking for a friend. If there was an accident, but there were no witnesses and someone tried to save you, but they failed, would said hero still get a reward? I'm gonna leave now.